only DJ Storms. And I would like to welcome you all back to the Lightning Flash Update right here on YouTube.com on November 10th, 2017. You already know who I am, Mr. Controversy, and the operator of the best damn Twitter handle known to mankind. And this Lightning Flash Update, this is mainly going to consist of the weekly shows because Survivor Series has really begun to take shape. Now, originally, I was going to really go off on the fact that Ambrose and Rollins lost the Raw Tag Team titles, but WWE got on their hands and knees and gave us a gift. They begged for our apologies and gave us a little early Christmas gift. The gift of AJ Styles winning the WWE Championship, which I will go over. And I have very few news, rumors, and reports today. But I have one major report in that section concerning Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. And I believe that was reported 2 days ago. I believe, yeah, on Wednesday. So we're going to talk about that later, but we're going to get right into the weekly show reviews. So Raw started off with The Miz interviewing Kurt Angle about the Under Siege of Raw and Daniel Bryan. He started rambling about how Kurt Angle sabotaged Daniel Bryan. Kurt Angle, obviously provoked, made the match between Miz and Strowman for later that night. Jason Jordan defeated Elias in a guitar on a pole match with a brutal shot to the head with the guitar. And then later that night, Jason Jordan was named as a member for Team Raw. Asuka squashed another jobber, and Alicia Fox named her as a member of the women's team for Monday Night Raw. Samoa Joe then defeated Titus O'Neil very quickly with the Coquina Clutch, and then he issued a challenge. Finn Balor, like the beast that Finn Balor is, accepted the challenge, and that match actually went to a double countout, and then Kurt Angle came out, and he said that both men are named for Team Raw at Survivor Series. So now Team Raw is full. We have Angle, Strowman, Joe, Balor, and Jason Jordan. Sasha Banks and Bayley defeated Nia Jax and Alicia Fox, with Sasha Banks making Fox tap out to a Banks statement, and then Sasha Banks was added to the women's team. No word on Bayley yet. As far as I see it, the final women is either going to be Bayley or Mickie James. Strowman versus The Miz ended up going into a disqualification when Kane interfered, unfortunately. And then afterwards, Strowman just demolished everyone. And look, I really don't care for this Kane storyline. I really don't. As far as I'm concerned, the guy is running for mayor of Tennessee, and he's wrestling as well. But what are they really going to do with Kane after this mini Strowman feud? They're not going to use him for anything else. What was really the point of bringing him back? It's almost like they're so desperate that they need to bring back all these superstars that had past glory. Past glory does not equal future success. That's something that you really need to realize. Or at least the officials backstage need to realize. Past glory does not equal future success. You don't believe me? Ask Hulk Hogan. He was doing the same thing for however many years. And what did he do? He switched around. He did a complete 360. Or a complete 180, rather. And he turned heel and formed the NWO. And that did wonders for his career. That's just an example. But in the modern day, what I'm talking about is, if you bring all these guys from the past, like they were bringing Goldberg from the past, Cena, The Rock, Angle, why not build up future stars? That's one of WWE's main problems nowadays. They do not know how to build future stars other than, Roman Reigns. But then again, I'm not going to get into a rant about that. Obviously, Roman Reigns, he is returning next week for Monday Night Raw, which I believe is going to be the segment where the Shield is going to challenge the New Day at Survivor Series. Enzo and Kalisto were in the ring, and during this promo, Kurt Angle then came out and introduced Pete Dunne, which was the best part of Monday Night Raw. And Pete Dunne came out and just demolished Enzo Amore with a beautiful bitter end. And after the match, Kalisto raised Pete Dunne's hand. So obviously, this is all building towards Enzo and Kalisto's final Cruiserweight title match at Survivor Series. And afterwards, the UK division was invited to 205 Live, which turned out to be a pretty decent episode. Cesaro then defeated Ambrose and Rollins to win back the tag team titles. I still think this is a huge mistake. Now, don't get me wrong. I am all for Cesaro and Sheamus being treated like stars. But if anything, Ambrose and Rollins versus the Usos would have been 10 times better. I'm not trying to cut down Sheamus and Cesaro for what they can do, but, like I keep on saying, with this heel versus heel dynamic, I get it that Cesaro and Sheamus and the Usos, they're all great wrestlers. I get that, Ambrose and Rollins and Cesaro have had some great matches, some of the best of this year. But at the same time, you have a plan, and you've had a plan from day one. Unless it's a horrible plan, like Jinder versus Lesnar, they needed to change that because they were getting tons of negative feedback. That I agree with. But Ambrose and Rollins versus the Usos, that could have been a potential match of the year. At least on the main roster, not counting NXT. And now you're just taking that away from us just for a Shield New Day match that is ultimately going to amount to nothing, just in an attempt to get Roman Reigns over. But anyway, so they went back and forth in this match. There was a portion, or a brief moment in this match, where Ambrose hit Dirty Deeds, and then Rollins, soaring through the skies of Manchester, hit a beautiful frog splash, and Cesaro just bulldogged his way in to save it. And then everyone's down, and all of a sudden you hear, "Oh, Manchester!" And the New Day come out from the stands, and they declare Under Siege Part 2, and the entire roster came out. The entire Raw roster came out, and New Day was like, it was a punk fake. It was a punk fake. And this allowed Sheamus to bro kick Rollins, and Cesaro are your new tag team champions, or might as well start calling them the Bar now, because now they got that the new Titantron with them doing the sideways thumb, and the name The Bar. So, yeah, I'm going to start calling them The Bar from now on. So, The Bar are the new tag team champions. A very uneventful show, but at least Survivor Series has really started to take shape. Now I'm thinking about the Superstar Shakeup. Anyway, SmackDown Live. So Shane McMahon kicked off the show, and he praised the New Day for invading Monday Night Raw. And New Day, listen, even though the New Day have become a bit stale, you have to admit there are still some catchphrases that the New Day says, and there are still some promos that the New Day cuts that are extremely entertaining, because had AJ Styles not won the WWE Championship, can you guess what WWE could have done to get me invested in Survivor Series? Nothing! I thought that was without a doubt the funniest thing I've ever heard, probably from the New Day all year. Aside from, we're going to leave you in a pile of your own day one-ish. That's going to be my new catchphrase. Whenever the New Day comes on, I'm going to just tweet #nothing. So anyway, this led to Owens and Zayn interrupting them. Kevin, obviously, he was pissed, as well as Sammy was pissed, saying that you all are a bunch of idiots. You are without a doubt the stupidest superstars on the SmackDown Live roster. You need us on Team SmackDown Live, all that other good stuff. And Sammy goes, well, if we say some of the stuff that we do, or say some of the stuff that we say, and we do some of the stuff that we usually do to you, if we go off and invade Raw, we'll get suspended, fined, or fired. So that obviously that was a shot at Vince McMahon. So then Big E says Kevin's got his hand so far up Zayn's ass that when Sami brushes his teeth, Kevin Owens gets a manicure. That was very funny. Anyways, this led to Kofi Kingston versus Sami Zayn in a very good match, actually. I was surprised at how good this match was. And Sami Zayn, let me tell you something. Even though he's been losing, the man still looks like a legit fucking winner. I'm sorry about that curse. That kind of slipped out there. But he looks like a legit winner. And there was a spot in this match, I believe it was down the stretch, and Sami Zayn delivered an absolutely brutal Blue Thunder Bomb. It just spiking Kofi to the mat. I'm surprised his dreads didn't fall off. This led to Kofi Kingston defeating Sami Zayn with a diving high crossbody, and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn with the cheap drive-by attack, and they escaped. And later that night, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus The New Day was announced for next week. So Randy Orton then defeated Rusev. Rusev was originally scheduled to face AJ Styles, but then, of course, he got put in a championship match with Jinder Mahal. We all know how that turned out, but I'm going to go over it anyway. Randy Orton defeated Rusev, unfortunately, and Rusev, it doesn't matter how many times he sells the RKO like RVD, he is not going to amount to anything if he keeps on doing this. And it really does sadden me to know that WWE constantly overlooks Rusev. Yeah, they obviously don't see him as anything but an anti-American Bulgarian brute, whatever you want to call him. Becky Lynch defeated James Ellsworth in a battle of the sexes, and apparently they actually put on a legit match. I thought this was just going to be one quick disarmer and done. And then afterwards, Carmella super kicked James Ellsworth. I didn't really care about that entire situation. Hopefully they'll do something decent with the women on the show after Survivor Series, or at least going into 2018. I actually have no problem with a women's Royal Rumble, just as long as they treat it important. Not like the Money in the Bank ladder match earlier this year. You know, they hyped up the Money in the Bank ladder match so much, and then it all just fell apart when James Ellsworth had to get involved in it. It was almost like the Santina incident at WrestleMania 25 with Santino becoming Miss WrestleMania. Back then I was a kid, so I didn't really care. But now that I look back on it, I see how stupid it really was. Shane McMahon actually announced Charlotte versus Natalya next week for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Even though I do not like short title reigns, and let me tell you something, you have no idea how hostile I am against short title reigns. But in this case, this needs to happen. In this case, it needs to happen 1,000%. Natalya versus Alexa Bliss, though it may turn out to be a decent match, heel versus heel matches are terrible, and you already know what I'm going to say, so I'm not going to say it. Unless your names are Sanity and the Authors of Pain, I will forever continue to say that every time WWE mentions heel versus heel or makes heel versus heel matches. But Charlotte, I believe she has been overlooked in this SmackDown Women's Championship picture. I believe that she's kind of been pushed off to the side to do a lot of I don't really want to say jobbing, because never in my life have I ever seen a woman like Charlotte, especially in the modern day WWE. I've never seen a woman like her job, especially since she's related to Ric Flair. For God's sake, she's Ric Flair's daughter. But she really hasn't been on that much of a hot streak. And she just started getting back into the SmackDown Women's Championship picture as of, the fall season. But Charlotte, I believe she is really due for a SmackDown Women's Championship reign. Now, Natalya, like I keep on saying, I have nothing against Natalya. But heel versus heel matches, they don't really generate that much excitement. But if they are going to give Charlotte the SmackDown Women's Championship, and I really hope they do, if they do, it would be a step in the right direction, because Charlotte, I believe, could have a great match with Alexa Bliss. I would much rather have seen Mickie James defeat Alexa Bliss and go on to face Natalya, but, you know, I would take Charlotte. I'll take Charlotte. It's better than nothing. It's better than nothing. Next, we had the tag team title match, which didn't go very long. It only went about 5 minutes, and Benjamin and Gable defeated the Usos via countout when Gable just dove. It's almost like Gable thought he was part of the World Series, and he just dove. It almost looked like he was flying like Superman. So, like, this close to the floor, he just dove and just decked. I believe it was Jimmy Uso's ankle. Just boom, decked him. And then he slid back under the ring and outside the other end. Long story short, that ended in a double count out. Obviously, the match did. And Benjamin and Gable, they do not win the tag team titles, so I believe that they are going to be saving this for Clash of Champions. So the Usos, they can go on to face Cesaro, or The Bar. It's going to take me a while because, you know, I've always called them Cesaro. They never started using The Bar until, you know, a few months ago. But they go on to face The Bar. Benjamin and Gable, they have that count out looming in the back of their mind. Boom, Clash of Champions. And also, Baron Corbin versus Sin Cara was announced for the United States Championship next week, which I like, and I'm going to talk about that in the news, rumors, and reports section of this video. And then in the main event, AJ Styles defeated Jinder Mahal to win back the WWE Championship. There is a God, ladies and gentlemen. There is a God. That's all I'm going to say about that. Nothing more can be said. On to 205 Live, Enzo Amore kicked off the show with the first ever presentation of The Zoe Show. He introduced all of the UK talent, and Bate, like the savage that Bate is, put the right hand up, and then Enzo was looking at the right hand, and he got pounded with the left. Enzo goes down. Enzo versus Tyler Bate made for later on in the show. Kalisto defeated Jack Gallagher in a decent match. Obviously, Kalisto needed the win because he's going on to Survivor Series to battle for the Cruiserweight title. Mark Andrews and Cedric Alexander defeated Joseph Connors and James Drake. Might I say, Mark Andrews, he's not only fun to watch, but the man has a beautiful, beautiful shooting star press. I think as of right now, as far as aerial moves go, Mark Andrews' shooting star press and the Velveteen Dream's Purple Rainmaker elbow drop are the two best high-flying moves off the top rope today. Mark Andrews, his shooting star press is beautiful. Though he landed it a little low, it was executed beautifully. Then in the main event, Enzo Amore defeated Tyler Bate with the Jaw Dunzo. It looked like Tyler Bate legitimately injured his right leg. I actually hope he's okay. And then Kalisto came out to make the save as Enzo Amore continued beating on Bate after the match was over. Decent episode, really nothing too special. On to NXT. Heavy Machinery defeated a couple of jobbers. Otis Dozovic, I gotta give this guy credit. He is wide as hell. He's about as wide as this armoire that I got here. And this guy's doing the worm. He's as wide as an armoire, and the guy is doing the worm. Otis. I'm like, what am I? I'm like 140 pounds. I can't even do the worm correctly, at least. Heavy Machinery, let me tell you something. Heavy Machinery and the Street Profits. And once Sanity loses the tag team titles, probably to the Undisputed Era, the Street Profits and Heavy Machinery are going to be in top contention of vying for the NXT Tag Team Championships. But of course, the Undisputed Era will be holding them very soon. Ember Moon versus Mercedes Martinez was announced for next week. Should be an interesting match. Kairi Sane that defeated Billie Kay with that beautiful elbow drop as well. Kairi Sane, she does have a beautiful elbow drop, but, you know, Kairi Sane, you're going to have to improve on that posture. Don't get me wrong, the elbow drop looks brutal, but the Velveteen Dream really has that posture that really makes it look like he's soaring through the air. Cassius Ohno actually went into William Regal's office, and he said he wanted Lars Sullivan. This is going to be a true clash of the Titans. I am very, very interested in how this match plays out, because Cassius Ohno wants to get back into the NXT title picture. I actually have no problem with that, because I like Cassius Ohno, and I think that he's well overdue for an NXT tag team title reign. I said tag team title reign. NXT title reign. Sorry, I was thinking about War Games. So, it's interesting to see, do they go with Lars Sullivan and build up the next Braun Strowman, or do they go with Cassius Ohno and they have Cassius Ohno continue on his quest to become NXT champion? Very interesting. Zelina Vega and Almas had a sit-down interview. Zelina Vega said she knew Almas for 7 years, and everybody else has seen the old Andrade Cien Almas, but she knows the real Almas, and at TakeOver War Games, Drew McIntyre will find out the real Almas. Now, I am not sure what they're going to do at TakeOver with McIntyre and Almas, but at this rate, you could go either way. You could really go either way. With the hot streak that Almas has been on, you could pretty much predict and be confident in your prediction that Almas could very well walk out of Houston with the NXT title. McIntyre, yes, he's had a very good reign thus far, but it's very, very short. Very, very short, and you would think that McIntyre could retain. So whoever you pick has both men have a very strong chance of winning. It's all going to come down to who has that that extra 1%, who has that 51% over 49%. Velveteen Dream defeated Cesar Bononi, and the Velveteen Dream actually stated that he will get what he wants. He will get what he wants in Houston when Aleister Black says his name. And I'm actually really enjoying this feud. This feud could actually main event. This feud could actually be an NXT title feud if they want to do this in the future. McIntyre and Almas were announced to be in a face-to-face confrontation next week. Should be very interesting to see how that turns out. The Street Profits versus Sabatelli and Moss was announced for next week, when Montez Ford impersonated Tino Sabatelli, and he tried to take his $5,000 custom-made suit from Men's Warehouse. That should be a very interesting match. Adam Cole and Roderick Strong went to a DQ. It was actually starting to pick up a little bit. Roderick Strong actually did a half Nelson backbreaker to Adam Cole, and Cole landed neck first on the turnbuckle. I actually thought he was legitimately hurt. There was a point in time where Adam Cole delivered a super kick and then a knee drop brainbuster. And towards the end of the match, when Roderick Strong was going for the cover off that turnbuckle half Nelson backbreaker, the Undisputed Era came out, the Authors of Pain came out, Sanity came out, and it was just an all-out brawl. This ended with Eric Young superplexing Adam Cole into the rest of the field, and that ended the show. All in all, a very good episode. I'm very interested to see who they go with to win War Games. Is it for the NXT Tag Team titles? If so, you don't really know. It could either be Sanity or the Undisputed Era, because I believe that the Authors of Pain are going to be having their last match in Houston. If it's not for the NXT Tag Team titles, you could pretty much call it right down the middle. Undisputed Era. And Roderick Strong is turning heel. Now on to the news, rumors, and reports. Sin Cara, as many of you know, was reportedly injured over a live event tour in Madrid, and Corbin apparently stepped on his right foot, but it wasn't his foot that was injured. He stepped on, I believe it was his upper thigh, and I believe he rolled his knee. He rolled his knee, and they had to go to a quick match ending, and then it was reported by Dave Meltzer that the injury might not be that serious. Because if it was serious, then I don't think that the U.S. title match between Corbin and Sin Cara would be taking place next Tuesday on SmackDown Live. We're going to have to see how that plays out. I'm very much looking forward to seeing how that plays out. I think that they could actually put on a very good match. Sin Cara, look, he may have been overlooked. He may have been off television for months upon end now, but he can put on a very good match. This Sin Cara, not the old Sin Cara. This Sin Cara. It was announced on WWE's Twitter page, or all forms of social media, that Johnny Gargano will be facing Pete Dunne on November 18th for the United Kingdom Championship. However, this match will not air as a part of NXT TakeOver War Games. Now, this is interesting. This is very interesting. Do they go with a plain old dark match for the fans, and just the fans in there get to see it? Or do they pre-tape the match and they show it next week for NXT TakeOver, or the show after NXT TakeOver, when obviously it's taped in the city that they originally had the TakeOver in? My guess is if they were smart, which I know for a fact, everyone in NXT is smart. I know for a fact that they are most likely going to go with the route of pre-taping the match and showing it on the episode of NXT after NXT TakeOver Houston. So don't worry, we most likely will be able to witness this match. Now, onto my final rumor, or report rather, of the day, rather. This is not a rumor. This is a full-blown fact. As reported by WrestleInc.com and multiple other sources, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn were sent home from the WWE European Tour. Supposedly, they were sent home for conduct deemed detrimental to the WWE. Now, according to Pro Wrestling Sheet by way of WrestlingInc.com, Zayn and Owens did not follow the directions during their segment with The New Day. They were supposed to keep attacking them after the match before retreating. Instead, they quickly retreated after the match. The report also said that the duo has become increasingly difficult to work with. Now, this is in quotations, and supposedly they've been unhappy backstage since neither of them have a match at Survivor Series. Now, when I think about this, if it's really their fault and they did not follow directions, then okay, they deserve to be punished. Because obviously, you need to follow directions over, either whether it be a European tour, a live event, a televised event. These are the specific type of directions that obviously you need to follow in order to be successful. Now, I understand if you don't like the way that WWE is treating you, neither do I. But stuff like that, just as a simple segment to do, now it's kind of weird that they wouldn't even be able to do that. I mean, unless they're really unhappy. However, I do not have any other news on that. Although I will be researching the dirt sheets like mad. I'm going to be researching everything. Meltzer, Cage Side Seats, PW Insider. I'm going to look up all different types of wrestling websites that might have the scoop. I'm going to get as much information on this issue as possible, and if I do get the proper amount of information, I will talk about this again next week on the Lightning Flash Update. But I can understand if they are unhappy backstage, since neither of them have a match at Survivor Series. It's very interesting to see if they will show up next week on SmackDown Live, since they do have a tag team match with the New Day. Do they show up, or are they truly unhappy? And do they walk out like Neville? Do they walk out like Aries? If so, it would be a huge, huge loss. Without a doubt, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn have become the most entertaining thing on SmackDown Live right now. I really hope they don't go. And ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up this edition of the Lightning Flash Update. Do not forget to like, do not forget to comment, do not forget to subscribe. Make sure to give that notifications bell a rolling elbow. Do not forget to follow me on Instagram at DDog316. Follow me on Twitter at #1 WWE fan. Like I said, check out the Lightning Flash Update next week. Do not forget, I'm also uploading two. That is right, 2 rundowns next week. One for NXT TakeOver and one for Survivor Series. I'm the one and only DJ Storms. This has been the Lightning Flash Update. You guys have a great weekend.